And first of all, Minister, I want to just outline some of the background to this case, and you'll be familiar through parliamentary questions that you've answered to myself in raising this case in the Dail, and indeed the Minister Simon Coveney has responded, the Minister Phil Hogan has responded, and indeed this goes back right to the Féin administration. Minister Eamon O'Keefe has responded in terms of parliamentary questions. But this story originates back in 2003, so it's well over a decade now. And what happened at that time is that Donegal County Council were charged with dredging the channel at the harbour at Burtonport in 2003. The Council ran into difficulties regarding the disposal of the spoil, the dredged material. And what they did was they reached an agreement with the local family, the Boyle family. And the agreement was that they would use his lands, comprising of a small number of islands adjacent to the harbour, as a solution to the dumping problems for removing the silt. It was agreed also to use the rock that was contained within the small islands that Mr Boyle's family owned as a bund, and to store the dredged material within the bunded area. The result from the Council, from their view, was that this contained a saving in excess of €500,000, and there's letters from Council officials that I have access to that effect, because that would be the value of the quarried rock at the time. So what resulted from this work was a new plot of land consisting of Mr Boyle's original islands and a new part which was the reclaimed foreshore. The agreement with the Boyle family at the time was that this new piece of land, the reclaimed foreshore, and the original piece of land that he owned would be transferred to him by the Council as part of the overall agreement. The intention of the Boyle family at the time was to build a commercial, community and retail units, a marina that would have created dozens of jobs in the area and kick-started the local economy, not to mention taxes to the local exchequer and also rates to Donegal County Council. Part of the agreement was that the Boyle family would transfer back to the Council part of that land which would have assisted with the Council in terms of car parking in the area. So what has happened in the last 10 years? The harbour has been dredged, the infill has happened, the rock that the Boyle family owned was used by Donegal County Council, saving them over €500,000, but the transfer never took place. And the reason the transfer never took place, through parliamentary questions from yourself, Minister Hogan, Minister Keaveney, back to Minister O'Keefe in the Féin administration, is because this was caught up in some legal wrangle. It's now 4 years ago since Donegal County Council paid €130,000 as the agreed fee for the transfer of this foreshore licence. The Boyle family were chosen as a preferred partner to develop a marina project, and a grant of €465,000 was allocated for that project. Now, unfortunately, that grant was lost, and it is claimed that it was lost because of the delays in this project. The Boyle family have come up, as entrepreneurs, with another proposal which would again see this area developed and much needed activity, and particularly in a tourism area, enhance the area greatly. But it is all depending on the transfer of this foreshore licence. So can I ask you, Minister, to outline to the Dáil why agreement was reached between the local authority, the state, this family. This family lived up to their agreement. There was a huge benefit to Donegal County Council from that, but 11 years on, they still have not had the state live up to their part of the agreement. And how are we supposed to create employment? And I would invite you to come to Burtonport and see what was once a thriving fishing community that is on its knees. And when we have local people that are coming up with initiatives, wanting to create employment, wanting to enhance the community, but the red tape at official level is stalling this process. How in other God has it taken 11 years and still we don't have the foreshore licence agreement implemented, despite the fact that the fee has been paid over 4 years ago by the local authority?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I'd like to thank Deputy Doherty for raising this issue, and I know of your interest in it, and you've referred to a number of parliamentary questions, etc. Proposals for activity and development on the foreshore vary greatly in terms of their nature, scale and complexity, and the time required to determine applications varies accordingly, and as you've said, this is a long and complicated history. The foreshore consent application on hands with my department, that's in relation to Burtonport, has two aspects. Firstly, it involves an application for a lease for an area of reclaimed foreshore at Burtonport Harbour by Donegal County Council. Secondly, it involves a proposal by Donegal County Council to sublease a portion of the reclaimed foreshore concerned to a third party. And as you have said, there is a long and complex history to this particular case. At the time of the original application, Donegal County Council wanted to purchase the foreshore in question. However, the position of the then Department of Communications, Energy and Natural Resources was that a lease should instead be granted for the maximum term of 99 years. As a matter of routine, sanction from the Department of Finance, now the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform, is required to lease terms in excess of 35 years. Sanction was secured in October 2007, subject amongst other things to a valuation being obtained and agreed by the Council. After a series of negotiations, the valuation was finally agreed with the Council in October 2010. The Council elected to lodge payment in respect of the leasehold premium in October 2010 in advance of any request for payment from my department or any lease agreement being in place. Over time, the nature of the proposal for which the Council had originally intended to make the third-party sublease changed substantially. This gave rise to a number of legal issues that my department needed to seek legal clarification on. My department has been engaging with the Chief State Solicitor's Office on this case since November 2010. The present position is that legal advice is awaited from the Attorney General's Office, and until this advice is received, it is not possible to indicate when this matter will be concluded. My department's legal advisers have been appraised of the pressing need to resolve legal matters relating to the case, and my department is in regular contact with the County Council to ensure that it is aware of the position, with the most recent contact taking place in December 2013. But I do realise that it has been going on for a long time, Deputy, and we will seek to expedite it as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Minister O'Sullivan. Deputy Doherty, you have 2 minutes for supplement.
Yeah, Minister, I welcome your final comments in relation to that. The earlier part I was aware of. My colleague in the local authority, Mary Trace Gallagher, has been pursuing this issue at a local level with the local authority for many, many years. And just to reiterate this started in 2003. We had a boom. We had a bust since then. We had a banking expansion. We had a banking collapse since then. We had a Troika agreement. We have exited the Troika agreement since then. We've had banks nationalised. We've had banks liquidated. We've had all of this, which I am sure is more complex than fulfilling a legal agreement between the local authority and a person who wants to create jobs in an area of huge deprivation. Now, in my view, Minister, and as I say, I've dealt with 4 ministers now in relation to this here. I've spoken to the Solicitor's Department myself in relation to this here. It is not acceptable, simply not acceptable, that 11 years later that the best legal brains in the country cannot come up with a solution or draw a line under this project one way or another. Like, how come it takes years for the Chief State Solicitor or the Attorney General to give advice on this issue? My view is that this project, because it is located in Burtonport, is not an issue of priority for them. It's simply not an issue for priority. There is no way, in my view, that legal teams are sitting around either the Chief State Solicitor's Office or the Attorney General with the Burtonport file and saying, what are we doing on this day in, day out? It's simply not happening. It's at the bottom of the file. It has not been prioritised, and it should be prioritised because this is about creating jobs, but it is also a breach of an agreement which was of huge benefit to the state and who has penalised the Boyle family, who have lost nearly €500,000 in grant aid to build a marina that would have been successful for them at the time. But they haven't sat back. They've decided to look now at another project, a caravan project, a tourism project that will bring people into an area in West Donegal, experience the rich culture, the beauty of the area, earn more islands and the other islands just off from Burtonport, and bring back some tourism potential to an area where it is screaming out for. I ask you, and I do, as I said, and I say this finally, I appreciate your comments at the end, but something needs to be done. Some minister needs to go in and say, enough is enough, folks. This family has been treated shabbily for one reason or another. It shouldn't have taken 11 years. Set a deadline and get a resolution to this issue.
Thank you, Deputy Ministers.
Well, just again to say to the Deputy that my department is actually intending to meet with the Chief State Solicitor's Office and the Attorney General's Office in the near future. Now, I will go back and check and make sure that is followed up on and that it happens as quickly as possible.